Okay, sweet. So we're on. And then I'm just going to give it 1 second so that I can test it. So basically now we can go ahead and jump on and you can see it. So if you want to have, I don't know if your phone or whatever on the side, so you can
Oh,
kind
you
of,
can actually get on the link.
you can, right, exactly. Because now we're up. So I'm going to go ahead and check it right now. There's
Oh,
normally a
I got.
little bit of a delay. Okay, yeah, no, we're on. Test it. So
That's
basically
cool.
right. Cool. So this is good. Speak for me really quick.
Oh, wow, this is cool.
I can
Oh,
test it. So
hello.
basically now we can go ahead and jump on and you can see it.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Okay,
So
let
if you
me.
want to have, I
I'm
don't
gonna
know if
mute this,
your
or I'm gonna
phone or
go
whatever
crazy.
on the side. Right, yeah, yeah, no, yeah, you can't, yeah, because, and plus it'll start to loop also at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
Okay.
go ahead and check it right now. Don't be dropping nothing.
No, I know. Everybody's gonna watch me be the clumsy self that I am. It's all good.
Cool. All right, so we're up. Perigo Fandango. All
Okay.
right. Yeah, so Jeanette competed last night. I don't know if you saw.
Oh, how'd you do?
She got first place open solo showcase, pro open solo showcase.
So she didn't do the part. Is she doing the partner work one too, or no?
No,
Just
no,
the solo.
no. It was I think she was telling me that they just didn't feel ultimately ready. I think they're actually starting now to prepare for next year for the partner work, which I'm excited about, which is great. And
Yeah. No, that's right. The whole summit thing is all week long.
right.
I'm thinking about Sunday. It just depends on the time. But Eric wants to do social dancing,
Yes, dude.
and I told him I would do it with him. So that's in the maybe. It all just depends on my rehearsal schedule, and you
Right.
know how those schedules work. We won't know till Friday.
Oh my god, no. Una locura. They told her that she
So
would get on at like 4 or 5. She didn't end up getting on until 11 p.m. last night.
you see what I mean? That's what
It's
drives me nuts. So
yeah.
Sunday I can't change my schedule. I just said, listen, if it's meant for us, since it's social dancing, it's not like we prepared anything. I
Right, right,
figured
right.
we could just go with it and figure it out, if we are able to do it. So,
Right.
I mean, I want more than anything for him. Well, not just for him. I'd be lying if I said that for myself as well. I would kind of like push me to consider preparing something for next year. Actually, before I got pregnant, that was like the goal. It was, I had Jacob in 2020. The pandemic was happening. But in 2019, before I got pregnant, I had told Manny, I'm like, I'm gonna get a coach. And I had reached out to Vera at first. I was gonna get like a couple coaches to work on some body movement, some stuff, and I'm gonna come up with a solo, and I'm just gonna do a solo. I'm just gonna go for it.
Right. Yeah.
And
No, that's
that
yeah, you
was
don't depend on
that was
nobody.
the goal. That was the goal to do the end. I think back then the summit was at the end of the year, and
Right.
then and then I got pregnant, so I was like, okay, that's not happening. And then the pandemic, and then now I feel like I'm just starting to feel like myself, my new self, because I don't think I'm ever gonna be the old self again. But I feel as far as physically and like even with dance, I feel like okay, maybe next year will be the year. I told Billy, I was like, I wanted to do this year, but it's just you can't just slap something together, man.
Right.
You
Right. No, there's no doubt about it. No, there's no. At least
do.
I mean, it also depends on kind of like your style. Like there's some people. I mean, I'm not that. But there's some people that it's just like dale, and it's almost like more like rolling the dice. But I almost respect it because it definitely requires a lot of courage to be able to just
Uh,
go.
No, no, no. Yeah, I compare it a lot to like when I do my fitness competitions, the dedication, it's you have to give yourself like a goal and set it up for 4 or 5 months,
Yeah.
6 months. You do training and then you start putting the choreography together. And since it's something artistic, it's gotta make sense. It's gotta connect. You gotta feel. There's so much, You're
Absolutely.
mixing like the art industry into it to who you are, to the technique, to what the judges want to see. I mean, when it comes to competition, I have a whole like we could sit on a whole podcast on that
Yeah, yeah.
because
That's
that's
good
like
though.
a
We do
different
that. We should do that. That's
that's a
good.
different that's a different world. And in salsa and in Latin, it's even more different than ballet, jazz, hip hop. I feel like ballet, jazz, hip hop, all those styles, a little bit more cookie cutter, a little bit more, except once you get into more contemporary. lyrical. Yes, there's a little bit more emotion involved, but when it comes to salsa, Latin, there's a cultural style involved. So now, which way do you go in that?
Right.
Do you stick to the roots, or do you fuse it, or and really judging it. That's why there's like a million categories, because
Yeah.
how do you really judge your style, and allow a panel of judges to be like, well, yeah, you're first place, you're second place. I think it's not so much about the placement, it's more about putting yourself out there, and letting, and I learned that a lot from my students, because I'm not a competition type either. When it comes, I'm more like you when it comes to that. I did come from the competition world, and I think when I got into salsa, at first I was into competition, and I used to take the kids to competitions with salsa at the very beginning when I first
Right.
opened the studio. Then somewhere along the line, I felt like I lost the essence of what I wanted them to learn, and the family orientation behind it, and
Right.
the fun that it really has, and I didn't want to follow that path. But then now I feel like I have a good grasp on all of it, and I feel like some people are made for that and some people are not.
Right.
And with Claude, he's a very special student of mine when it comes to that. He's very determined on what he likes, and he likes to push himself, and he likes me to push him. And I feel
That's a
like I
that's a
owe
huge component. That's a big component.
Oh, no, no. I feel an obligation when it comes to students like that, where I can't let him down. And he does a lot of the stuff on his own. Like, he'll say that he owes everything to me, but I always tell him it's 50-50. There's no way. You've done your part, and
Right.
that's why you're where you are, and I want him to continue that way. So I was like, all right, whatever. We could do the social dancing one, and that way, once I get myself out there and judges see me do that, they're like, oh shoot, Mari competes. Okay, I had no idea. I'm actually very competitive, and then that's the other thing. I'm very
That I know about you for sure.
Oh,
For
so that's
sure.
so that's the reason why I don't step into something that I feel like I'm not gonna win.
Right.
Like, I'm just
Yo.
like, I'm gonna get first place about that. But that's really not the attitude. I learned that with fitness, because when I did my first show, I swore up and down that I was getting top three because I was not messing up, and I didn't. I didn't even cheat one time. I got so ripped, but my body wasn't where it needed to be top three. But I didn't understand that. I was just kind of like, I did everything they told me to do.
Right.
And that was an eye opener. And then I learned that the process was so much more fun than the final moment. The whole like getting there part was what really made me the person I am, and then more humble to the competition side. Still doesn't mean I'm not competitive. I mean, I competed pregnant, okay? So
Yes.
I definitely the competition bug is in there. So yeah, I mean, it's something I need to do. He messes with me. He's like, you should just wait till you're 50 and do the over 50, and you can get first place.
Yeah,
Jesus
that
Christ.
is wild. Like the conversations with the students, like when you break down all the categories and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, and there's amateur, and then there's pro am, and then there's pro, and then okay, well, I want to do the amateur. Okay, well then there's am, and then there's pro am, and oh wait,
Oh
what's the
yeah.
difference? Oh, one's with the teacher and one's with the student. Okay, well then there's what you call beginners, and then there's intermediate, and then there's advanced, and then
There's a
there's
lot. There's a
and then
lot.
there's
There's a
over
lot.
40, and then there's over 50, and then and it's just like, and wait a minute, and then you could do a mix. Oh, and then there's salsa and the on one, and then the on two, and then the bachata, and then the showcase versus the classic versus the just dance versus like it's
Which a
oof.
lot of people don't know that there's that many opportunities, which is why a lot of people don't compete, because they're
Right.
like, "Oh no, I'm not. Which one am I going to do? I don't." People immediately think the competition is just like on one, or like line tricks or whatever.
Right.
And
Are
then
hard, like, or they have to be a certain level of good or
right, right,
experience.
right.
It's like, yo, there's a newcomer category, like
I know it's the same thing with fitness. There's all these categories. There's wellness. There's people that just literally started dieting for the first time, and it really is supposed to be. I mean, it's a business tactic in
a
a
hundred,
sense.
100%.
But that's what we do. We teach dance, and that's a business, so there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it keeps people motivated, right?
Absolutely.
And it gives them something to look forward to. And I think that it's a good thing to have. I mean, I don't, I'm definitely not the competition, wow, da da da, but I support it. I support it. I do my best to always go to the event. I don't live and breathe on the competition world. I feel like I said, I feel like you get lost in translation, but I still support it. And I do think that a mix of will only make you better. It's definitely not going to
Oh,
make you worse.
absolutely.
So if you compete as a beginner and you never compete again, it's fine. You'll leave out of there with that experience and you'll know, wow, do I like that? Did I like receiving a medal? Did I like my name being sounded out? Because you're not really competing for them. You're not really performing for the masses. When you compete, you're competing and you're performing for like 10 judges or whatever it is,
Right.
And you have to remind yourself that that's what you're doing. They're scoring you and they're nitpicking you, and it's like when you do fitness they're looking at your body and they're literally looking at every piece of fat, and here they're looking at every step you take,
Mm-hmm.
and that could be very intimidating.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's definitely a lot of, regardless of the level, definitely a lot of, a lot of courage that's required. Just knowing I'm going to be in a competition, that somebody's going to be looking at me, somebody's going to be judging me, especially because there are those magic few that kind of show up like, I'm ready to win some trophies. Like, all right, that's always cool when they walk in the door.
Well,
But
those
yeah,
are those
majority
people
just
that
come in for entertainment or for fun or to meet people,
right.
so to kind of pull over it definitely, which I mean, I think you're phenomenal at that, to be honest with you. It's like, yo, you're awesome. You need to go win some stuff, like, which is
Oh,
great.
like pushing the
Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely like I'm a sink or swim. Like I'm like where
Oh,
do
you
you
don't know how to
go?
swim. Whoosh! Ah!
Whatever. I'm literally, I've always been like that. It's definitely my tactic of coaching. I have a
Yeah,
big, I don't see myself as a teacher, which is why I don't go to school anymore. It's more of teaching is one thing and coaching is another. And
right.
I know who can deal with my style of coaching and who can handle my push. And I'm definitely that. Like, yeah, you got to go for it. Don't think about it.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say this, bro. Like, my style of coaching that's so politically correct, and we're online. We don't got no network or nothing, bro. That is a coach, period. You
Yeah.
pushing people, bro. And now, obviously, someone has to want a coach. And a lot of people are like, oh,
Right.
I don't like that style. Or maybe you're just not ready for a coach.
Oh no,
Yeah.
at 100%, which is why I'm where I'm at with my business and in the dance world, why I went the direction I went in, because I did the teaching thing. I did the teaching thing where I was at a studio 6 days a week, and I'm the teacher, and that means I
Right.
have to put up with every person that doesn't want to be there and every person that wants to be there. And I failed at that. I absolutely failed at that because I would look at people in their face and be like, you don't want to be here.
Right.
Like, why are you making me do this dance for you or this solo that you do not deserve to have, that you're not ready for? And that just pissed people off.
Right.
And it makes no sense to own a business that way because you're not going to get anywhere. So that's where I realized, it's taken me a long time to realize that I'm not really a teacher, I'm a coach. And that's why now where I'm at, I'm like, oh no, I'm a coach. You choose to be with me. You either
That's it.
jump on my crazy wild ride, or
Yes.
you don't. You don't
Right.
have to. Definitely the ones that do follow my courses or take my classes or I coach or whatever, they definitely are masoquitas, they definitely are they're in love with that craziness of what I bring, even though sometimes they don't want to hear it, even though sometimes they don't agree with what I say
Right.
or don't understand why I do what I do. But it's
But
just like,
that's part of it. That's what a coach is for. That you're providing vision, you're providing clarity,
well,
right?
that is the
To
absolute goal. That is
right
definitely
to
the absolute goal.
somebody who can't, like, a good, I'll never forget this. A good friend of mine, or an old student. Um, oh man, this was 4 years ago. Oh, that hurts. I just turned.
Why? Because you're feeling older.
I had just turned. I had just turned 30, and it was my
Okay.
30th birthday. And she gives me a big hug, and she goes, "Welcome to the third floor."
Oh.
and that kind of unlocked something on me. It's like, oh, okay. So that, you get older, you can see more. You're on a higher level. Not like, oh, I'm better than you, but you just have more perception, right? Which at the end of the day, if you can provide that as a coach, if you're on the 5th floor and you can see things farther away than someone that's on the 2nd floor, someone on the 2nd floor has to have the humility that you see from there about me, let's say, for example, to help. No, you're good. I can still hear you. There you go. You're good.
Okay, no, you had frozen. No, it's funny you're saying that, because then that takes me to the reason why I went from teacher to coach. Because as a teacher, I was on that 2nd floor trying to act like I was on that 10th floor. Well, and mind you, there's probably things that I was making sense about, but I didn't know how to maneuver or guide that properly, which is why I had the challenges of not being the best coach at that time, not really knowing where I fell in or where I belonged. I think that in any career that you choose, and I say it all the time, this career chose me, I did not choose it. You have to figure out where you belong in it. Like, what is the ultimate goal to this career? I mean, in anything you do, it's not just about the money. For me, it really isn't about the money. It at first, I would say that, success, I was driven to like do more or to have more things, but it's never been about the stuff that I wanted to buy or the money that I wanted to have. It was always so much more than that. And then now as a mom, it's like an even different perception. So now it's like, I want the stability. Yes, I want to build, something that I can leave behind, but I definitely, ultimately, I feel like if I am not coaching someone, even if it's one person, if I'm not instilling something to someone, if I'm not getting some way, then I'm not doing what I'm brought here to do.
That's it.
And I know I know ultimately that's what I've been brought here to do. And that's what I guess I'm in that journey of figuring out, like, I do that more, So, sure. But yeah.
Beautiful. Anyway. Javier Mesa. What's up, Javier? Good seeing you, bro. It's been a minute.
Oh, he says, his daughter takes classes. Him and his daughter take classes with me on Saturdays.
I love it. He says, Claude's a beast. Javier, you are still one of my favorite instructors, brother. Thank you for all that you've done for me.
He's so awesome. Yeah.
For sure.
I did his daughter's quinces, and I choreographed a song for them, and they dance together. And then they come every Saturday. It's like their little thing that they do together. And they take the classes on Saturday. And he's a riot. He's so much fun. It's like he's like opened up his kid moment again, like his youth, like by dancing. He comes on Saturday and he's even doing on 2.
Oh, like, yes.
So he's having like a really good time. So
Javi doing on 2, dog. I would have never thought, dog. That's what's up.
Oh, he does footwork. He does on 2. He does he's a beast.
Javi's a beast, bro. No, always been. Oh, hey, I have pictures, bro, from Calle 8 2004, I think, bro. Tu flaquito, dog. I got all that, dog. So let me know if you wanna check those out. Pero bueno, listen, it's already 12. Our messages are going out now. So we're gonna end the pre-show, and we're gonna go ahead and get this rocking and rolling. All right. By the way, for all of you that are watching, by all means, of course, we're going to go ahead and accept questions throughout. I see all the comments here, so feel free to participate. But I'm going to go ahead and give the formal introduction, so I'm going to put you away for a second. Javi says, on 2 doesn't agree with me.
He's only taken 2 classes. Que no hable tanto.
Yeah.
He literally took his 2nd class last week, and he did fine.
Yeah. Lo talentoso. If it doesn't come the first 2 classes, no, you're good, bro. No, me costó a mí, bro. Oh my gosh. Anyways, okay. We can have fun like this all day. All right. Vamos a empezar. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Salsa Kings Live. This is Andres Fernandez reporting in with episode 87. We have a very special guest today, Miss Mari Martinez, mother, businesswoman, entrepreneur for over 15 years, coach, mentor, dancer, choreographer, and forever student. A very dear friend and famous. May I go that far? Famous in
Uh,
Miami for for everything that she's done for the community thus far, particularly influencing the youth of all ages. So make sure to check out Hotspot as we go ahead, and we'll be leaving links out in the description, etc. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get this thing going. A quick shout out to our sponsors, Miami Salsa Cruise for 2023. We are already sold out, but go ahead and subscribe to the text list, news.miamisalsacruise.com, news.miamisalsacruise.com, so you can start to get information on the next one coming up in 2024 in February. So far, it has been 8 days, 7 nights, a vacation, your favorite Latin dance getaway. This year, we were going to Amber Cove, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and San Martin. MyDanceShirts.com, shirts that are for dancers, by dancers, super, super comfortable, that also allow you to submit your own designs and actually rock out your own shirt on the dance floor, whether it's in class or at the club, that you specifically designed yourself. Definitely a lot of fun. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring on our special guest. For those of you that are watching again, by all means, we are taking questions throughout the episode. So Mari is with you as well. Mari, I got you on screen now. How are you? And thank you so much for joining us today, Thursday at noon.
Thank you for having me. I'm good. I have energy today. I'm in a good mood. It's another beautiful day. I feel
Amen.
blessed,
Amen.
and nothing. I'm happy to be. Anything that
Beautiful.
has to do with talking. You can always count on me when it comes to talking. So
That's
um,
what's up. So for those that do not know who you are, I gave a brief introduction of kind of how much you've been kicking butt lately, in not lately, well, since the beginning in Miami. Tell us a little bit about who you are, kind of like your personal experiences, things that have led to your awarenesses of who you are today.
okay.
Um, and then we'll go ahead and talk about, kind of how clarity has been brought to you through these, I guess you can say, through these experiences, particularly through dance, and how that light can kind of be shed for all of our viewers here, ultimately trying to deliver value, right?
Right. No, absolutely. Well, my goodness, who am I, and what have I gone through? Right. So to touch a little bit upon that, like you said at the beginning, I'm a mom of a 2.5-year-old, which it's funny because I never considered myself to ever be a mom, but here I am. That is my first title of all. It is my most prestigious title.
Congratulations.
And I am forever obsessed with my son. Um, who I was before is definitely not who I am now, but my journey has been that in itself, an amazing journey, a roller coaster that has taken me up and down and all around. Um, I am an entertainment owner. At first, I owned an actual dance school. So, like you mentioned, I'm very much involved in the community of the Latin community. And that honestly has happened through so many trials and tribulations to reach there. In essence, when I first started, because I actually started dancing when I was 18. So I started very, very late. And for that, just to give you a little background, because I think it'll all kind of tie together. The reason for that is because there was no support in my family growing up for training or money. I come from a family of five, the oldest of five, so it was always more important to just take care of the siblings. And I had a job since I was like 12, so it was a poor home living, and not to play a violin about it, but it's just the reality of what I had. It's the cards that were dealt for me, so I wasn't able to join a dance studio. Um, and when I turned 18, I told myself that I was going to sign up at a studio. Definitely not salsa. I that was so far from my view in life that I can't even explain. My goal was to take hip hop, jazz, and like technical dancing. That's what I wanted. And I walked into the studio. True story. I was saying this story the other day, and people like every day, people are like, "No way! I had no idea." I walked into the studio and I told the lady, "I want a beginners jazz hip hop class," and she was like, well, I mean, how old are you? I'm like, oh, I'm 18. I want a beginner class. And she was like, there's no such thing as a beginner class for like an 18-year-old. I go, no, there has to be a beginner class. The 8-year-olds, the 7-year-olds, everyone starts at the beginning. So she was like, so you're going to take class with the 8-year-olds? And I was like, I'm going to take class with the beginners. If they're 8, then they're 8. So that's how I started my journey.
That is awesome.
I,
That
I,
right there is so
that,
awesome. That's so amazingly humble. That's so inspiring for so many people. The fact that you said with the conviction, 18 is late. There's so many people
yeah.
that are walking through the doors in their 30s and their 40s and they're, messing up on their first class and beating themselves up. Like, yo, dance, you start when you're like 7, 8 is
No, no,
late. Like,
legit. You start young, and again, I'm talking about the technical world. Flexibility was not in my favor because and I learned this through time. That's also a genetic thing. Aside from working hard, I'm not saying you can't be flexible. If you don't stretch every single day for 20 minutes, of course, yes, you can get flexible. The technique, the understanding. The bottom line is, I went backwards. I went into a hip hop class. I realized I was going to get anywhere with that. I went all the way to getting a ballet class, and I was in ballet with 12-year-olds, and I was fast forward, I was like 23, 22. I'd get yelled at by the teacher because I didn't have a bun on because I'm coming from like a 40-hour job,
right.
a career. I paid tuition every single month at a studio, $150 a month, $180 a month. I did recitals every single year. You know, my grandmother went to every single recital. Bless her heart. She was like my
Yes.
cheerleader for everything. And I was like dancing with, like, I'm telling you, 10, 12. I was in a competition team of 14-year-olds. I went to do my first competition when I was 22. And it's funny because I get on stage, I invited my dad to come watch, and they announce, and the next group average ages 14 to 17. And here I come out like at 22 to do my little jazz routine, my single pirouette. I was very proud of myself. I worked so hard. I took class every single day. I then transferred to, and this is how my story with dance happened. I took a class in college as an elective at Miami-Dade North campus, and they don't take dance serious there at all. But I was like, oh my God, if I could take any dance class anywhere, even if, especially for free, this is going to be perfect. I
Right.
took my dance class with that instructor who she never got good dancers in that campus. Nobody that ever took it serious. So I was very serious. I really wanted to learn modern, and I really wanted to learn like real modern, Graham, all that technique stuff that I
Right.
wasn't getting even in my studio. And we had this project to do a choreography with a group, and I killed it. Apparently, to the teacher, she just felt like I had this ability and this vision and this way, and just like she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. First of all, I didn't want to teach anybody. I hated teaching. I didn't feel like I was prepared to teach a group anything. I just knew that I had ideas of a choreography because I had been choreographing stuff since even before that. I would choreograph stuff for my sister. I choreographed her audition for a school in high school. She got in. I did solos for people, group stuff since before I even trained. So I always had that like ability to do things for you that I thought were cool, or elements to put together. I don't know.
Nice.
Bottom line is, I do this class, I do this course, and I finished the program with Miami-Dade North campus, and she takes me to the side, and I don't know what to tell you, man, but teachers have power, teachers, mentors, we have power. And if you just say one thing to them, that you could just this lady turned my whole life upside down because I was studying education. I always said I was going to become a principal. I wanted to actually become a superintendent.
Wow.
I was obsessed with Frederica Wilson. She was my principal in elementary school. She's a superintendent now, and I loved all that stuff. Okay. I was obsessed with it. So when I look at this teacher and she tells me, listen, I don't know what you're studying, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to dance. I just
Wow.
looked, I looked at her and I was like, I mean, I am dancing. It's like, no, 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 no. You need to transfer to the Wolfson campus. You need to take dance over there because they filter people to New World School of the Arts. I was just like, this woman's crazy. I'm like, I just started dancing like 3 years ago. And she was like, I don't care. Like, you have something that you don't even know you have. And bro, Andres, I literally dropped everything. I just transferred myself to the
Wow.
Wolfson. I took dance Monday through Friday. I didn't even tell my mom. I stopped taking all my classes. I mean, I had already finished a year and a half at Dade in the honors program, by the way. I was in the honors program with a scholarship. decided, let's just use the scholarship money to dance. I had so many moments in my car where I would just break down because I had to work 40 hours a week. I lived on my own, I had to pay my own bills. And in order to dance and be good at dance, you needed to dance in the morning, in the night, all the time.
Oh
And
yeah.
I couldn't do that. I would go to dance 8 in the morning till 12, Monday through Friday. And I was really trying to get into the North to the New World School of the Arts college program. And I was this close to auditioning. The reason why I didn't audition was because when I sat with my teacher, she's like, you got to be prepared to pretty much be broke and live off soup and nothing because you're gonna have to dance in the morning.
That's
Like
true.
you can't get it. Like she's like, you can't get a job, type of thing. And that was the issue with me. Aside from living that world of dancing, I was an entrepreneur already. I was a manager for Lady of America. I managed gyms. I managed coin laundry businesses. I was making 30, $40,000 a year in my 20s. Like back then, that was a lot
Right.
of money. Commission. I had a whole hustle life. I literally lived and breathed on the street. I was dancing or I was working. I was dancing, I was working, I was living on my own. And it was just like I had zero clarity to what it was. It was so much noise going around, so much like I was trying to ask. I'd have my discussions with God. Him and I have our thing. We get connected, we get disconnected, we get connected. Definitely because of me, not because of him. But I would cry and I would cry and I would just ask, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't understand what this is. I did the gig thing. I almost auditioned for the Miami Heat dancers. I would always almost do stuff and then I'd pull back and I would kind of stay responsible, right? I would never take that leap. I should just move to New York. I didn't do that. And then a bunch of other stuff happened, but we'd be here forever.
Right.
And then salsa came in, right? So salsa comes in my mid 20s and it literally happened like a movie. Hey, let's go dancing salsa tonight, my good friends, my girlfriends. At the time, I was living the single life, clubbing like at all these hip hop places. And I'm like, oh, I could dance salsa. I put on I'll never forget what I wore. This green little dress, really fitted at the top, very like flary, like salsa. I'm gonna go dance salsa. Literally like the movie Cheyenne, right? And I'm like so excited, like, oh my God, my mom dance. My mom is a salsa dancer. She's a street salsa dancer. She used to win like trophies at the clubs. And I'm like, and I used to hate anything Latin. But now I thought it was kind of cool because my friends wanted to go dancing salsa.
Right.
So I'm
Of
like, all
course.
right, I'll go. So we go to Mystique.
Oh
I
my
walk in,
gosh.
I walked into a movie and I said, what is this? How do people know what they're doing? Like, I was more mad at my friends because they knew how to dance. And they didn't tell me they knew how to dance because they had apparently learned, their moms put them in like a class in high school and they learned in their high school thing. And I was like, what high school? I didn't learn this. And I
Right.
went to a Hialeah school. They didn't teach salsa there. I was in shock. I danced for the very first time ever with Marcos. I don't know if you remember Marco. I don't know if
Last
you know
name?
who he is. Oh my God, Maria Elena, what's his last name? He danced for Ramani
Roche. Roche.
Ruche.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the
Beast.
ex. He was
That was
the
your
ex.
first dance?
That was my first ever salsa.
Wow.
And you want to know why he laughs at me now? Because we just finished dancing together. Well, not just recently. I think I saw him and his wife in Atlanta. I want to say it was like 8 years ago, but that was like after a long time not seeing him.
Right, right, right.
And he looks at me. He doesn't think I remember. I go, you don't think I remember that you were my first ever partner? Like ever? You grabbed my hand and you danced. And he did it because he was forced to, because his ex at the time was like, dance with my friend, one of those things. He didn't want to dance with me. He was like showing off to everybody. He only wanted to dance with people who knew how to dance.
All right.
And because you know how the world works. And I was just like, new meat, right? But I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So he did not have a good dance. It was literally the entire time dancing. Turn, walk, step, come. I was so upset, so frustrated. Like, okay, so where do I take class? Like, what do I do? So then I get told all these at the time, this is when all the studios opened up in bowling alleys. There was like
Oh yeah.
studios everywhere, right? All these like rueda salsa schools. And they were at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock at night. So at that time of my life, I was actually working at a dance studio because I had made this huge, huge decision in my life. I left a lot of money to make no money. Okay. So I'm working at this dance studio as a manager and I can't take class because I work till 10 p.m. every day. I run the dance company. I do all their paperwork. I do all their teams. I wanted to be around dance. I wanted to go to work every day and feel like I was doing something that meant something, even though I was making $250 a week. I
Right.
didn't care. I was tired of making money for other people. I didn't even know that I wanted to do my own thing. Whatever. So how did I learn how to dance salsa? On the street. There is no school that can take any credit for any salsa that I know. I took maybe one or two lessons with Caribe. I did years later, because once you do casino, then you want to learn a lay, and you know how
Right.
that is. And I did take a couple lessons there. Almost joined one of his students. Really went through. Dated Carlos for a long time. We took private lessons with Iguano Loco Ese. Not to say his name. Anyways, we took privates with him. That's the only person that I could say trained me, and I got my training with the casino. But in reality, I've popped into classes. Sure, I've done workshops, but there's no. I never really got the fundamentals. I had to learn that later and fix all that. But I did. Definitely, the journey was harsh. I told myself I'm going to go to Mystique every Thursday, every Sunday, every Thursday, every Sunday. I'm
Thursdays
gonna
and
get my
Sundays.
I'm gonna get my toes stepped on. I don't really care. I'm gonna figure this out. And I jumped in a rueda one day and I just was like, what is this? Oh my God. And then I would figure out how to teach this to the quinceañeras. And that's how it all kind of just started like spiraling.
Uh-huh.
And then in 2007, I opened my studio. It's funny because I had started the quinceañeras. It all started with the quinceañeras. I was working at this dance studio and I was doing quinceañeras. The lady tells me, the owner of the studio, New Image Dance Studio. I owe a lot as well to this woman, Barbara. She was, even though we ended on not the best of terms, because it's never a good term when you have to change and there's change. It's just, it is what it is.
Right.
But she was ultimately amazing with me. She gave me what I wanted. I got my fix. I was in that studio. I was there for like 2.5 years, and she said, "Why don't you do the quince choreographies? I don't like doing that stuff." Giving me that, and I would be there Sundays. I swear that my first year, I must have done like 60 quinceañeras. It was insane. I was like doing back to figuring out like how to do the quinces, and then figuring out how to teach salsa to the quinces without really knowing salsa. And that's when I decided about a year or so of doing that I was driving around so much. An ex of mine, because I would have never opened up a studio either. It's funny because I'm ballsy once I do something, but to do it at first, I'm kind of careful. I sometimes overthink it, or I'm very hard on myself, and I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I cannot lie on this and say I knew that I wanted to open a studio,
Right, 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 right.
because I will say it over and over again. This life chose me. I did not choose it. I really didn't know what I wanted
Wow.
to do. I mean, I was in school. I stopped school 10 times. I went back. I stopped. I didn't know what the hell. Went back for business, failed classes, repeated classes. It was such a mess. It was such a mess when it came to my education. And I was a straight A student, and I'm telling you, scholarships. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was so lost when it came to that. And my dad tells me, okay, so what are you going to do? It was 2000 and okay, so 2007 I opened the studio, because in 2005 he tells me, are you going to do your own thing or what? And I said, I mean, my own thing. What do you mean? Yeah, the Kinsa stuff. Just go on your own and just do the choreographies and just do that. Like, be your own boss. I'm like, I have one party next year. I can't do that. Like, I need at least my steady income thing. And he's like, you need to make a decision, because the owner of the studio was tired of me like not checking in and checking out. And she just felt like I needed to choose. So I did. I chose my dream of doing my own thing, which I didn't even know what that was. So I had one party and I said, well, it's time to get a bunch of parties. And I literally was just giving it away for free almost. I was doing
Right.
choreography, $400, $500, back to back to back to back. I had like 3 car accidents that year of all the
Oh my
driving
gosh.
doing. It was just insane, but the hustle was real, and God was good to me. He was like, he kept me there, and I was paying my bills and I was doing it. And that's when my ex, the firefighter, right? Because if you know any of my journey of how I've got into things, well, I had an ex who was a firefighter, and he, firefighters always want to have like a second, like opportunity to do something, right? He wanted to do a business and he would ask me my opinion on businesses. And then he saw me one day and he was just like, why don't you open your own school? And we were having lunch. We had been dating for like 3 months. And I'm like,
He's okay.
because because I don't have money to open up a studio. Like you need to have like you I don't even know what you need. Like I would have to research what you need. And he's like, what if I refinance my apartment and I give you the money? And
Wow.
I'm like, looked at him and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like we just like met. No, but I have a feeling that you're gonna be good at this. Like I think this is like your calling.
This is
And
yo, talk about life choosing you. Like this is like now I'm like really starting to
I'm
believe
I'm
you. Like
literally I'm literally digging into these things because these are things people don't know.
it's
And
wild.
and I told him I would think about it. And then that just triggered something in my brain. It got me like thinking like, you don't need his money. Like you could do this by yourself. Like, and I told him, I said, I don't want you to refinance like your place. Like I don't want to have that over my shoulder.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But
Yeah.
but what we can do, I told him, was like if I lived with you and I don't have to pay rent and I don't have to pay any bills and you kind of help me there, I'll just save every penny that I have in these next events. And then we come up with a goal and you help me organize because he was very, very OCD and he was very good at like putting things together. And he's also very handy. So he built the studio. He literally built the studio.
Oh wow.
So I was like, so we put away 10K and we opened up Hotspot in 2007. We found a warehouse and he would tell me, how are you going to know like what the right place is? I'm like, I'm going to know. I'm going to know when I walk in. I'm going to know. We looked at a bunch of places and I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. And then I get to this warehouse. It was in construction and I just saw everything. I saw the mirrors. I saw the walls. I took Raul there. I took Raul. That's
Wow.
That was the beginning of 2007. It was just like an empty room. I took Raul and Lewis. And I took them and I said, this is gonna be the studio. This is gonna be where we're gonna actually train, because they were just like 15 boys. Well, Raul didn't even know how to go forward and back, so he wasn't even that. They were just following me along my journey, my chaotic journey of what it was
Shout
gonna
out to
take
Raul
next.
and Lewis. Shout out to Raul and
And
Lewis.
they were like, they lived in Westchester. The studio was in West Kendall, and they were like, to get here. Like, well, Raul didn't have that attitude. Raul was very like, oh, I'll get here. Marty will pick me up. Like, I'll get here. Lewis was more like the realist. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get here. If my mom doesn't bring me, I'm not going to come. And those were my first two official, I would say, students because they saw the place before we built it. And then we built it with our own hands. Angel built most of that studio. He did it. I wanted to do stuff and he wouldn't let me. And I also am not like that handy, but I'm not scared to get my hands dirty. I
Sure.
just don't know what to do. You got to tell me. So, I mean, yeah, I painted, I did stuff, but he did everything. I mean, he allowed me to go out there on the street to look for the clients, to keep the work moving, to
Right.
open those doors and not be like at zero because I mean, ultimately, I opened those doors at zero. I hired my secretary a week into opening the studio without having a clue of what I was going to make. I had no students registered for hip hop class, and then every time I register students, it would be the craziest way. Like they don't leave my mind. I was eating dinner one day or lunch one day at a restaurant, and I bumped into some kids that were at a quinces with me. I'm like, oh my god, I have hip hop tonight. Why don't you show up? And they came and then they'd sign up and
Wow.
it was literally no Instagram, there was no
Right.
social media, it was knocking door to door every
Absolutely.
day with my ear pod, just looking for students, looking for kids, starting my classes with one student, starting my classes with two. Kathy was one of my first students who then I had people reaching out to me from like the other studio, and I was far. I tried to go far so they wouldn't think I was stealing any students.
Right.
And when you open a business, everyone tells you, I'm gonna join, you
Oh
got me,
yeah.
you got
Yeah.
me.
Tell me about it.
That's such a bunch of BS. I had lists of names, and then the pressure that you get on the side because Angel was great. I mean, he was my partner. He became my partner at the beginning, but they don't know about the business, and then they're like, "Where are the people? I thought you said you had people. I thought you said you were going to bring people." And
Right.
You're like, I am. I'm freaking trying to bring people.
All right.
Then I do the open house, and I think I maybe had like, I don't know, 20 people there. And then you have these moms walking in, randomly coming in. There's no plaque or trophy. I started the studio with nothing. Like, how am I going to sign my daughter up here? So, what do you have to offer for my daughter? How can
Right.
I put I literally had nothing to say. I was just like, I don't know. I didn't even have air condition at that studio when I first opened. And it literally was brick by brick by brick by brick. It was one student, and then eventually that student told a friend, and then now I have two, and it was like that. It was so slow, so slow. And then for me it was the salsa that really really set me apart, because then what I would do is I would get all these kids together from the quinces and be like, let's do the salsa class. And Emmy was one of the first ones. Emmy was a dancer that danced for Jose Luis, and she got really known. Emmy Aragon, Raul, Lewis, Edgar, his sister Adriani. These were like my first students. Trisha, who's like the owner of Flirtatious Looks now. These were like my first faces of Hotspot, and they went on this journey with me. That's how I was able to get known with the studio, with the salsa team. I mean, they were like the best because they were 14, 13, 15, doing like all this salsa
I
dancing.
remember. I
I
remember.
I never went to congresses at first. I just kind of like stayed within my own world. And the first person to invite me was actually Jose Luis. No, that's a lie. Actually, it was Frank, because Jose Luis, I was dancing like the BT or like in restaurants, and then I would always talk with Frank a lot because he helped me with my website. And that's when he's like, "Oh, why don't you bring your kids to Orlando?" And I went to literally like the second year Orlando had opened, I want to say. First or second year, I can't remember.
Nice.
And that's really like how, so I kind of said, "Oh, we'll just go to one Congress." And we just went to Orlando, and I would kind of keep them away from the salsa scene. I wanted to keep them in a bubble, you know, and that was a mistake in a way. It was a mistake. It definitely drove a lot of drama later on, but I really wanted to keep them in a bubble. I wanted them to never see like the community what it really was, and I didn't want to deal with them going to another studio. I didn't want to deal with them seeing that, a bunch of it, I guess, is insecurities and mixed with, just scared, I guess,
Sure.
not knowing. And that process, I owned the studio from 2007 to 2016. So I owned two schools. And this is when my partnership with Angel broke out. I mean, we were dating and then we broke up. We
Right.
stayed as partners for a little bit, but I told him I had no problem staying as his partner. I definitely can put a straight face when it comes to business, comes to business. He couldn't do it. He also couldn't deal
That's a
with
lot.
my,
Yeah.
no, you know, the thing is he also couldn't deal with my ballsiness. I was just like a lot. Like I opened Hialeah in a commercial setting, I lose a lot of money, I close it in a year, I move Hialeah. And I'm like, I'm moving. And he's like, no, you're fucking crazy. I don't want to do this. And I'm like, no, I'm doing it. I don't care if you're with me or you're not with me. I'm not giving up my Hialeah students. And then I open up Hialeah the second time and it becomes someone, but then I lost everybody. When I opened up Hialeah the second time, that's when Angel left me halfway through the session by myself. And that's when I meet Carlos. And Carlos built Hialeah number two, and it was just like all these right people get put in, and I, for whatever reason, I wasn't like begging Carlos to come in. Carlos was somebody that I was dating, and we were dancing together, and he enjoyed the studio setting. He saw I was closing, he saw what I needed. He's very smart with numbers, and he helped me when nobody wanted to help me. He gave me money when nobody wanted to give me money. He took the biggest risks with me, along with having a relationship with me.
Amen.
And maybe that's because people saw that I was passionate about what I wanted, even if I didn't make the best decisions and I wasn't the smartest about it. But they saw through all of that. And Hialeah was born, and when Hialeah 2 was born and it finally built up, I was doing really, there was a couple years that I was doing strong. It was like the teams, the salsa, the kids, but I was 30 years old at that time, maybe early 30s. Had already owned the studio for 3 years, had no life. It was like there
Feel
all the
that.
time.
Feel
And
that.
then I started experiencing the teachers leaving and taking their students.
Oh yeah. Tell me about it. For sure.
And I just was like, I don't It's a very, I am so intense, Andres. That's my, I sometimes think it's a problem and a good thing, right? I'm very intense. You know, you and I went into some.
Oh no, we may have lost Marty. Hold on one second, guys. Stay with me. Okay, she's coming back on now. Perfect. All right. Hold on. Okay, we're back. All right, cool.
Okay,
Sweet.
so I'm very intense, and you know that we went into business together, you and I as well. And in the community, I guess my issue is people are just not straight up. I'm not saying this directly to you. I'm just saying in general. I think people, when they don't like something or they're not happy or whatever, they don't know how to come talk to me. It could partially, I'm going to take some blame. I know that I'm not the easiest person to approach. But I have been approached by people when they want to part, and when it's done the right way. I just feel like you should respect the people that have given you the
Absolutely.
steps or the hand or whatever. And my issue is, it's not that I can't forgive, because I can't. I definitely take some time. I'm very, very like,
Naturally, for sure.
I'm very protective of my own, and then I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this, and I just move on, and that's that. So to fast forward more into like where it led me now, I owned the school from 2007 to 2016. I'm telling you, I lost, gained. We can go on that forever. The studio topic is in itself a podcast. Um, Hotspot. Then I closed the school. And I said, you know what? This is just so dumb. Like, I am not a teacher. I'm a coach. I'm a choreographer and I'm a coach. I actually did not want to teach at all. So this is the bottom line. I told
Wow.
myself I was gonna retire. I said, I'm done. I'm gonna retire. Carlos and I broke up. When we broke up in 2014 or 13, he still stayed my business partner. Okay, he did. He fought it out with me. He stayed as my partner until it just couldn't anymore, right? And we just lost visions. We didn't have the same vision anymore. And you can't partner with somebody who doesn't have the same vision.
Of course.
But that was a roller coaster. I lost everything financially. I was in the worst financial state of my life. I was so, so bad. And I definitely didn't even know like what I was gonna do next. But then I said, you know what? I make money in the choreographies, and the Keen says, this is what I need to focus on. Like, that's it. So at that time, Manny, one of my students, who's still with me, right? And Claude Eric was still with me. Claude Eric at the time was maybe like 9 or 10, I want to say. Um,
Need advice.
I was like, I'm closing. Like, that's it. You got to go find another place. You got to go look for something else. And Manny was so mad. He had just started with me, and he was like, no, what do you mean? You can't stop. You're like the best. And I'm like, no, there's better people. It's fine. You need more attention. You need more. No, 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 no. What about if you teach once a week? Just once a week. I know you want to do the events, and I want to dance the quinces too, and that's probably gonna help me. But what about if you just teach once a week? And I was like, once a week. Okay, fine. I'll teach on Saturday, thinking nobody's gonna sign up on a Saturday at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, so nobody will sign up. I really didn't want to teach. I was like done. I tell Shirley, Claude Eric's mom, look, I'm gonna do some breakdancing classes on Saturday so he can keep taking class. I was trying to keep my kids motivated. I'll do one class a week, whatever. And that woman just followed me, and just Manny would tell other students, and then they would tell other students. And since I had a reputation with like the kids, right? The high schools, I was like, what is this? Why are these kids here? And he was like, you said you needed 5 students. And before you know it, I have 10, I have 15. And then
Oh
I'm
my
like, I
god.
had fallen off. I had fallen off the community as a company owner. Like, I was working in the community with Renee, promoting, doing the Congress. I was
Right.
finally trying to like figure out like where the hell I belong. And I'm like, no more teams. Nobody saw teams from me in 2013. It was like a while. There was like no teams. Like, Mari not doing teams anymore. And then one year I come back and I have all these teams, and everybody wants to do it choreography on the Congress. And I'm just like, oh my God. So yes. So then Manny pushes me to teach. And in this process, I start figuring out like, maybe I could do it once a week and I could train a team and I can, and that in itself has been a journey, which has led me to now, right? Where now I'm like officially a coach. I do not consider myself a teacher because I feel like a teacher is paid to teach whomever, whether you want to do it, whether you don't want to do it, you're forced, you just paid. So it's a service, and my job is to teach you. Good attitude or a bad attitude, but at the bottom line is I'm a teacher, right? I know the knowledge and I'm going to teach it to you, right? I don't believe in that crap. Because for me, I don't want to teach somebody that doesn't want to learn. I don't want to work with people that are not going to go to the level that I feel they should be going to.
Right.
I don't want to waste my time. Choreographies and quinces are different because that's a different kind of project. It's like you're setting them up for their big day and they
Right.
want to do it.
Right.
They really want to do it up until their big day. And then bye bye. I don't got to see you anymore.
Right.
And it's the same idea with coaching. You kind of coach people till they don't want you to coach them anymore.
Right. Right.
Like till the next project of a coach comes in. So I do now with I'm in the community big time. I consider myself a pioneer, I guess you can say. I'm one of the only females promoters when it comes to salsa. I work very, very hand in hand with Renee, and I give him so much of my love and blessings and gratitude because he has guided me. Both him and Charung have guided me to have patience, talk to people I don't want to talk to, see past things, see things with a bigger picture. They've seen, gifts in me, and I feel like it's, my duty to continue that with the youth, right? So that's why I created the high school competition, which is like huge now, right? That's like last year we had 400 people show up to the battle of the salsa clubs,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that was my ultimate goal when I first started opening the studio. I would go to high schools and teach for free to recruit kids.
Right.
And I always said, oh man, it would be so cool if like, these schools had something to compete against. But my head wasn't in that. I was in the school and I couldn't do the school and the competition or whatever. So now I can. Now I feel like I can work with everybody. Battling, are they your responsibility? You know, I battle that because I still get jealous. And I'm saying all these things because it's a vulnerable state for me. It's one of those things of just like, I want to teach everyone. I want to give everybody stuff. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want you to train over there, or I don't want you to work over here. And it really can't be like that. It's one of those things that I'm learning that I have to let go, which is a growth process for me, because I'm realizing that I'm at a different place. I'm reaching a different place. That next direction is going to be for me because it has been a challenge to hear.
Oh no. Right when she's getting into the good stuff. Of course, we'll leave it to technology, right? Guys, this is some powerful stuff, man. Some powerful stuff so far. And we're gonna get into there she's calling in now. Hold on. Appreciate you guys' patience. And we're back.
Okay. So yeah, in connecting it with the topic of clarity, I think we were talking about doing this podcast, I mentioned to you that one of the biggest things that's I feel sets me apart with everything I do and has given me success, has led me to some success, has been my consistency, right? I'm very, 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 very consistent. I stick to something.
Right.
I'm like this with everything, with fitness, with my goals, whatever. But being clear about what I want and the visions that I want to have is definitely something that I'm in that learning curve. I'm learning to listen, to sit within my thoughts, to pay attention to what's that next, because I literally feel like the universe has just pulled me. Like pulled me. Like, oh no, you're gonna do this now. Oh, like get pregnant and not know about it for 6 months. Like I don't
Wow.
know if I don't know if I'm the most hard-headed person that exists on this planet or what it is, but I think my stubbornness has definitely made it challenging, you know? But yet the universe will not give up on me. It's like okay, you want to be this stubborn person, but I am going to give you this anyways, and you're going to do this anyways. It's like I didn't want to be a mom. I made that decision in my 30s. I didn't want kids, and I was good with that. I was happy with that, and then I get pregnant, and I get pregnant in the moment of my life that I definitely did not think that was the right time to get pregnant.
Right.
And I'm pregnant with somebody I'm not even dating. Why? Why is this happening? I don't understand. Then of course I'm given this blessing, right? My son is born and it all makes sense. Now it all makes sense. It's like, yeah, I get it. I get why I'm supposed to be a mom. I get that this was brought to me for patience, for me to see myself, because my son is literally my spitting image, see myself in this little human and recognize all my flaws and what I don't want from him and what I do want from him to be better as a man. And I'm like,
Wow.
it's mind blowing to me because it's how the universe works and it's how it's been with me for everything. I feel like I don't want to, do any more classes and then boom, no, you're going to do these classes. We're going to find the kind of classes that work for you. And you're not going to work anymore with the youth. Oh no, yes you are. You're going to do it this way. We're going to find a way for you to be able to create your event and you're going to do your event this way. And I have been and I know that I don't do it alone. I know that I'm guided by God every single step of the way. It's a journey that I'm tiptoeing into when it comes to my faith. I definitely have faith, but I guess I'm always asking God to calm myself down so that I can hear what my direction's supposed to be, so that I can allow Him to control what I have zero control over. Although I think, or I try to believe that I have control over my entire life, and I don't. So
Feel that.
it is very, very hard. But in the midst of all that, I've been able to. My story with dance has been beautiful, with all of its negativity or bad stuff. I mean, it's beautiful because I get to wake up every day and I've done it now for the past 15, 16 years. I've been able to wake up every day and live off of what I ultimately love to do. Even when I'm in my worst moments of my life, I have
Amen.
still been able to support myself when it comes to this. And that's a huge blessing. And I know that I'm meant for that. Um so yeah, I hope I didn't go off too much into too many
No, no,
circles, but I
no,
tried to give
not
you
at all. No,
path,
that's right on.
some
That
friends,
is
some
we now
futures,
know who
Because the
Marty
few
is for
as
sure.
as far as the future, since whoever's watching and how this gets shared or people watch this video, Hotspot currently is an entertainment company. We provide entertainment for all types of events. I went all in when it came to this. So now I have the costumes I didn't want to have. I bought all the wardrobe that I never wanted to do. Oh my God, I got into this. I'm good at it. I'm good at it. I'm good at the vibe that the parties want to have. I'm an animator now. And that comes from working the club. It's God did all that, Made me work at Blue Martini for 6 years. He made me do this, he made me do that. And though they were jobs, I thought, why am I doing this for
Right.
work? Like, what does this even mean? Now I run this successful entertainment company that doesn't do 2, 3 events a week, does 10, 15, 12 events every week. And I am so proud of that because then aside from doing that, I'm able to build on the projects that I have my heart in, which is my gala, my battle of the salsa clubs,
Right.
that's coming up in March. And you know, I, I need the support of the community when it comes to that because the kids need the support. The event is phenomenal. It's a 2-day event at the beach and it's not a congress. It's built for the youth with adults there too, because congresses are all adults with a little percentage of the youth.
Right.
Now, the gala is supposed to be all youth with a percentage of adults,
Nice.
and open up the mind frame of these kids that there's more to salsa than just what they learn at the high schools, which is why I bring a few of the artists that trigger more the youth, right? not to have like a lineup of 20 artists. It's not what I'm about.
Right,
I'm
right, right.
bringing people that I feel will give something to these kids and they will leave with something from it, that it will create the right vibe in the party and these kids will social dance because kids don't social dance. Just
Right.
because they do choreography the battle, they don't understand that aspect of dancing. That takes time to be a very good social dancer and to not be intimidated to just dance with anybody that's not the girl you're practicing with every day. So I'm trying to teach them those things with my event. And that's my goal. The gala started as an anniversary party, and it's turned into now the combination of the gala with the battle. And eventually it will be separate. It will probably be the battle by itself. The battle is an animal. It's an animal event. I don't even know what I'm getting myself into as I build it and build it. It's such a big event. This year we have 9 high schools competing, and it's every year a new high school opens up a salsa club.
Yes.
So it's really breathtaking to watch these kids be so into it. I am not a judge. I don't decide on the judging. I stick to the animating, the hosting. I create the competition rules and I go see all the schools. I actually start tomorrow. I go and I see every single school to figure out what level they are, to guide them in some way. Right now, they're not supposed to have choreographers, but eventually we will open up a category for a choreography. Why
Showcase.
not?
Sure. Yeah.
These kids are getting super creative and they want more. And then they're like, well, how can we do a competition with a teacher doing our dance for us? And that will have to open up where we have a category of student choreography and choreographer that do a choreography so the level can be upgraded. That is what ultimately we want if these kids are going to continue our scene, because they're the ones that are going to continue our scene. And there's a
Absolutely.
lot of them. There's a lot of them that can have the opportunity to join any studio around, which is what I try to do, promote all the studios. I try to make the judges studio owners versus judge. I make it so that they know like they have an opportunity for these to see faces of new people, and that could be opportunity for them to also join their school.
Right.
And that's where I'm at now. That's where my future is. I'm the artistic director for the Miami Salsa Congress and Bachateando, and I love all that stuff because I love the background. I love directing background stuff. That's me. That's, I guess I'm falling into my where my shoes will lie in. I think I will always be coaching someone, right? And eventually it'll become very very like prestigious, right, to be coached by Madi. Like, and as I'm talking about this,
It
I'm
already
realizing,
is. It already is. That I know.
because right now I coach groups of them, right? But eventually I handle coaching groups of them. I'll have to just coach one or two, because to do it right, you got to be there for them all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like I think beyond. Claude Eric. I'm gonna close up with these kind of things. Claude Eric, uh, I see him like in the next few years at a whole nother pace, another level. He's thinking, what am I gonna do to keep this kid motivated? Like I gotta keep him like training. And I know this sounds crazy, but last Thursday, and I also like to train. Like I need to find the time to train, because if I'm not training, what's he
Right.
gonna have something to look up to? So last Thursday, I tell him, watch Jacob for me while I take a class. Oh, what happened?
No, you're good. We see you.
Oh, it
We
went
hear
away.
you.
Oh, I thought it went away. I thought it went away. It's because somebody's trying to call me. Okay. Last week I make a deal with him. I'm like, I'm gonna take a ladies class, a Colombian style ladies class, because I'm trying to just take everything. And then, but I had already thought about it. I'm like, you watch him for the first hour, and I'll stay for the second hour, and you could take the Colombian class. He was like, he only saw it as he was helping me take care of Jacob, you know. And when we get there, he's like, I can't take that class. I don't know nothing about Colombian style. Like that's Cam is hard, Brian is hard. Like
All right.
no, you're taking the class. We went back and forth. Do we stay? Do we go? Do we stay? Do we go? And a lot of my stuff is psychological. I'm like trying to get him. We were all the way in Hollandale. It was late as crap. I definitely wanted to go home. And if in any moment he just would have showed me that he really wasn't interested, we would have left. Because then I'm not going to waste my time to push you anymore.
Right.
But I looked at him and I'm like, do you want to take the class? Do you not want to take the class? Hi, Clutterick, I'm tired. I want to go home. He's like, you see, I don't know now. He's putting on his shoes. I'm like, I think you want to take the class. He's like, and go take the class. The guy left out of there like brand new. Like, oh my God, that was so amazing. That was
Yes.
so different. So this, so that. And that's when those moments like that happen that I tell myself, I meant this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm supposed to be coaching. I'm supposed to be guiding. And coaching is a 24/7 thing.
Oh yeah.
It's every day. He can be texting me. When Manny's in the mode to want to dance, he's texting me songs, links, this. You got to answer them. You got to listen to them. You got to feed into them. You got to guide them. Oh, should I take this class today? Should I take that class when I go to the Congress? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And any decision or anything you tell them is ultimately going to help or hurt, because you place a big part in their decision
Yeah,
making.
absolutely.
And I've had that battle. I've had that battle because it's like I've wanted to be the one that taught them everything. Like I don't want them, but I'm realizing that it's not possible. And in working as an entertainment owner, I realize it even more because I work with dancers that train all over. And I think you always know where your home base is, where your fundamentals, where your coach, but you can have teachers everywhere. And you can have all kinds of teachers
Right.
because every teacher could teach you something different. And I'm realizing this now after so many years of owning a business and owning this because it's very hard. Artistic businesses, this is we're very emotional. We give so much of ourselves to
Yeah.
our students. And you develop them, you watch them when they walk in the door that they didn't even want to dance ever, and then now they're
Yeah.
killing it. And then they don't work with you anymore. And it hurts. And you're like, what did I do wrong? Was I not giving them the right thing? Was I not offering them the right service? You question your own ability, but it really doesn't have to do with that. Everybody's on their journey,
Right.
and it's really about their journey.
Well, what's
And
nice, what's nice is, when the kids go run off to play, if you would, they leave home and they go talk with their friends or whoever. Obviously, this is a metaphor, but they end up realizing that what mom said or what dad said originally was right from the beginning. And
yeah,
at least and friends or teachers or whoever that are any good are going to end up just reinforcing what mom or dad or your home coach originally said anyways. So, you know,
absolutely.
so that's the good news when it comes to that, is that at the end of the day there's one truth, right? And
Hmm.
that truth is unanimous throughout. And
Yeah,
any
absolutely.
any good teacher is gonna continue to promote that truth, and whether the student is hearing it from you or whether they're hearing it from someone else. If they hear it from someone else, it just justifies you and brings you up even higher.
Right.
Because, oh wow, well, that's exactly what mom taught me, or that's exactly what my coach taught me.
Yeah.
So wow, and now it's not, she's crazy. It's, well, he's crazy too. Wait, so then maybe I'm crazy. It's like,
Oh, absolutely. No, no,
absolutely, absolutely.
absolutely. No, I think what I'm asking for every day in my prayers, and I know that you know, once you're a coach or you're a mentor or the position that I hold, it's big. It holds a lot of responsibility, and I almost feel obligated to be doing certain things. And I'm playing this role. I mean, I'm not God by far, right? But as our Father, He watches us make a million mistakes and He just reels us back in. And He's not yelling at us when we're doing it, He's just letting us go do all those dumb things that we're doing. And and now that I'm a mother, I understand because then I see my son and I can get mad at him and I could tell him whatever, but he still comes and he hugs and he kisses me and he loves me. And it's the same as how I God, like how many times have I, done the wrong thing and yet he still takes me in and he's there to pick up all my pieces. So
Right.
now as a coach and as a mentor holding this status, right, with my students or with people that look up to me, because ultimately even with I realize even with the high schools, I don't teach these kids and they're just like freaking out to meet me, like I'm gonna audition their dance and I'm gonna make a decision on their life at this moment. And I feel like that's a lot of responsibility. Like this is a huge obligation and I want to do well. So I need God every day to continuously, guide me, have clarity, to see what I'm supposed to see, to calm me down and to not keep me so rough, and allow my students to figure things out and they'll come back. And the more that I let go, the more that they, and I'm learning that now. Like in my new generation, I'm definitely like that. With Claude Eric, I definitely don't have him on a leash, you know. And in the past, I've been that coach where you're on my leash. You're not going anywhere. You're not
Right.
going to see anybody else. You don't look that way. It's how I started. And in the process, I know that that's why I made so many mistakes and had so many losses. And then, and yet, even with those losses, they've all come back and they have said, oh, well, you were right. You were right. But I still needed to make the mistake, Marty.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
I still, I still needed to go do that. I didn't need to lose 5 years of not talking to you to do that. Like I
Right.
could have had you and you could have let me make my mistake. And those are challenging things to accept,
Right. Right. Right.
because
Right.
you always want to you always got to show that you're right because you're a coach, you're a teacher, and you have all the answers. And you don't want to look like you don't have all the answers. And but no, I'm human and I definitely have, made those emotional mistakes and not thought clearly and then later realized, what a waste, like all those years. And I didn't get to see the process of this and I wasn't part of that. And, and that sucks, because you were there mentoring certain things and a part of that person's life at a certain time in
Right.
their life. But you live and you learn and you grow. And I guess moving forward, that is my ultimate goal, that, who I do coach and who is around me, um, that I appreciate that moment for what it is in that moment, and that I'm at least, that person for them for what they want. And if they're not meant for that forever, then that's okay. That's why God gave me my son. I'll be coaching him for the rest of my life.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Right. By default, for sure. So how?
Yes.
So okay. So knowing all of that, how does, I guess, whether it's always seeking clarity or whether it's, you know being fuzzy or being distracted or whatever the scenario is, I guess what would be a tip or several, um, to allow somebody to kind of get into their own shoes, to as you described, as how would we be able to see, or be a little bit more confident in what's taking place, even though we don't necessarily understand what's happening, whether that's in our careers, in our dance journey, in our relationships. I definitely, every single one of us that's watching this has definitely been in situations that's like, why is this happening? And then, years down the line, oh, that was so ridiculously, insanely perfect of why that happened. At least for one's growth in whatever it is that they're going for, whether it's their dance journey or otherwise. What would be one thing that somebody can take as kind of like a to feel comfortable with what's happening and being able to kind of know where one is headed, and
Right.
to be confident with what's happening, even though it might not necessarily be how they saw it.
Well, okay, not to get all like Christian or anything, right? I don't want to offend anybody, but I definitely think that each person needs to get into their own spiritual, you know, self, whatever that is. Um, we live in a very fast-paced lifestyle, and as a dancer, even more. Our shoes are in the car, our clothes are in the car.
Yeah.
We take a bath at the gym, we change here, we do that, we leave the house at 8 in
Yo.
the morning. We don't come
Preach.
back 2 a.m., right? So we're just like getting things done, right? And then we're working our bodies all the time, as much as we're working our minds. Sometimes our bodies more than our mind, and we don't exercise the mind enough. And I include myself in that. I think that one of the things that I'm not a big year every year do like goals for the year, or like that whole thing. It's a new year, new me. I've always gone into the year like, okay, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be a better version of myself. I'm going to work harder, but I'm a consistent person. I work out all year long. I try to eat healthy all the time. I drink socially. It's not like I'm a crazy drinker all the time. I feel like I have a pretty good balance. Perfect, but for the most part, I have a good balance. And I think that for me this year, it is definitely sitting in my thoughts and in prayer a lot more to hear what I'm supposed to hear, because I think that we're here for a reason and a purpose. And I've always known that, but I'm not going to figure that out if I don't slow down and if I don't stop to dedicate some of that time to God and to the Bible and to reading things. So before we got on this call, I said, okay, clarity. I'm going to look up scriptures for clarity,
Okay,
and
there you
then
go. Nice.
and that's big for me because I have no idea how the Bible works. Okay. I went in and I Googled clarity scriptures or whatever. A bunch of stuff came up. It's like, oh my God. So I read like three and one came up, and it was like,
I
when I
got you.
read something, when I read something that has to do with God and faith and everything, and I down crying, I know that that's it. Like this is the one. So I'm gonna read it, and I think that this is something that could take away for everybody because it's a very like straight up scripture. So I think
Sure.
everyone's gonna understand it. And sometimes when you read stuff from the Bible, you don't understand what the heck it's trying to say. So this is from Psalms. I forgot what chapter it was. Shoot, I just took a picture. I'll say it after when I'm done. It says, I will instruct you and show you the way to go. With my eye on you, I will give counsel. Do not be like a horse or mule without understanding. That must be controlled with bit and bridle, or else it will not come near you. Meaning, clarity will not come near you. It's like I read that and I literally see myself like all over it. Oh my God, horse or mule. I do not want to be the damn horse or mule anymore. And if we want to be clear, we are going to have to allow ourselves to be instructed, and we're going to have to
Say it again.
give
You cut.
that
I'm sorry. Allow what? I'm sorry.
ourselves to be instructed. um it will be given to us straight in the eye, clear. But we have to let go of that control, so that way we can be instructed the proper way. And we can't be a horse or a mule that's not going to understand, because then we're going to have to be controlled a different way just to get us to listen. And if that work done, then there's no way that the clarity is going to come to you. And I connect with that so much because that's what I fight with every day. So there's some days that stuff is super clear that I'm just like, oh, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. And then there's some days I just have no idea, and it's literally because I'm just not paying attention. I'm just not paying attention because I want to be strong minded. I want to just do what I want to do, and I'm just not paying attention. And then that's when the mistakes happen. That's when the problems start occurring. That's when
And trickle in, right? Not
right
being
when
centered, not paying attention. Gold,
exactly
by the way, gold.
exactly, which is just what creates those trickling effects of issues, and then we start blaming everything else besides ourselves, um, on the situation, because it's just easier to blame everything around us versus blaming ourselves and what we're doing or looking into ourselves. It's not even about putting the blame on anything. It's just more of like, okay, why is this happening? And just try to stop and pray for those answers because they will come. And I am a firm believer that it really will. And again, I am on my own spiritual journey, um with trying to you know forgive and let things go. And I have my own battles and my own demons that I have to fight out. But like everything, it can go back as far as childhood, right?
Yeah.
To why it is that you are the way that you are. But I know I have a good heart. I know that I mean well. And for me, that it's more important to just kind of like stop and listen to what it is that God wants me to do so that I can be more clear. So when I found the scriptures today, I was like, oh my God, I have to say this because this is so me. I think I once a week I'm a horse or a mule, at least once a week. And I would love that to be maybe once a month and then maybe never. That would be an awesome goal. But I am definitely not there yet. I'm not there yet. I have a lot of wounds that I still have to kind of like heal out. And I'm sure I have faith that with time they will. And if I continue doing what I'm setting myself to do, I know that it's gonna.
Yeah. No, that's
This is like everybody wants to talk to me now. See, I'm popular. But yeah, so I mean that's in a nutshell, that's how I feel would help people. The tip that I can give them, I guess.
no,
Um, you
that's
know,
huge. That's huge. And to elaborate on that. Oh, yeah, Claude Eric is saying hi to us. By the way, I got the
I know he's tapping and I saw his post. Are
yeah.
you not in school, child? You should be in school. Um, but before it's important I say this because so we're talking about clarity and we made this topic before my Sunday service, and my Sunday service's topic was goals. And it's crazy like how everything just kind of like connects, and I'm telling you the universe does that to me for everything. And when I sat in church, I'm going to say this because I think it's funny. I sat in church, and my pastor, he's like talking about, you can have your, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you can't have goals. Everybody should have goals, set your life up with goals. And of course I'm making notes and I'm writing my goals. Okay. Get out of debt. I'm going to buy a house, and me writing my goals. And then towards the middle of what he's explaining, he's like, okay, so let's talk about 5 goals that you should be having. Goal number 1, you need to pray more. Goal number
Nice.
2, we need to be closer. Yeah, we need to be dedicating more time to God. Goal number 3, to have faith. Everything aside from where my brain was, which is when I realized that I had it all like wrong. Like, I have my energy and my priorities are just not in the right place, which will then align with all the things that I'm supposed to have.
Boom.
Because it's not even about what you want to have. It's about what you're gonna have, because that's what you're supposed to have. And whatever that's gonna be, it's gonna come in a little quicker if you're just a little bit more cautious of what your actual priority should be.
Right.
So I realized in that moment that people are not nice, because who's gonna think you're
Hold on,
be
Marty. Hold on. I'm sorry. You're
or
cutting up. You're cutting up.
or pray more. I definitely didn't think that like the top 2 goals that they were supposed to be. So that threw me off just a bit. But then the whole week has gone by, and I'm realizing with the week that's gone by and the days that I've had and the situations that have happened to me since Monday to today and the scriptures I've read every day, it is completely clear to me now that yes, my ultimate goal is to read more and to pray more and to have faith and to talk about it more, because we're supposed to talk about these things and put them out there, because God is using us to speak out his things. And those are also very scary things, because you don't really know what are you supposed to say, what are you supposed to do, who do you
Right.
talk to. I don't want to look like I'm trying to preach to you or whatever, but I'm getting an opportunity to talk to the masses of people or whatever. And so I feel like I should say certain things that maybe leave a token, a golden nugget, so they can be
Absolutely.
like,
Please.
that's
Hun-
interesting. I didn't connected with that. And I know it's even harder for people to see someone like myself, that works in an industry that it's just supposedly all party, all fun. Like, who's gonna think that this
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that coming. Sorry about that, guys. She'll be calling back in a second. But definitely some huge stuff as um, taking time to kind of taking time for yourself, if you would, so that we can find out and to receive the clarity to then be able to move forward uh, in confidence, essentially, right? Because that's ultimately where I think the lack of peace, if you would, kind of comes into play, um, and where we feel that we're not. And clear or connected, and then we start to doubt, or we make, decisions that just end up with loads of complications, and at least complications that are not necessarily meant for us. I mean, at the same time, there's definitely always something to learn, but those learning pieces, if you would, are just meant to end up connecting you back to that original course. I mean, at the end of the day, it's saying that it actually won't let her connect. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get this this link to her. Appreciate you guys. She may need to connect on her phone or something, perhaps. But anyways, okay. Again, appreciate your patience, guys. So yeah. So I guess ultimately what she's saying, and I relate 1.5 million times. Oftentimes we're just going through our day-to-day to-do lists like horses and mules, and we're so busy that we feel that we don't have the time to just sit down and ask. Hey, welcome back. There you go.
All
Sweet.
right, I'm on my phone now, so whatever.
No, it's all good. So I was actually kind of just recapping what you were saying, which is kind of like, it seems paradoxical, as many spiritual things do, that, so I'm actually going to move faster by taking breaks. And the answer is yes. By pausing every third step, you're actually going to be on rhythm.
Right.
So.
Oh my God, you're so corny. I can't.
Oh, that's all my classes. All my classes are radically corny. It's insane.
Oh
So,
no, I know. I can only imagine, Andres. I can only imagine. It's what makes you you. It's what makes you you. But that's actually a really good way to put it, because it's funny. I had yesterday. I'm also doing like a group home with my church, and I'm telling you, I sit in all these things, and sometimes I don't even talk. I'm just like trying to take it in, like what do I say? What am I supposed to say? But in the group like gathering or whatever, I was telling him, I was asking as a prayer towards the end, like, to help me slow down, to find the time. I'm telling you, every time I come back to the church, I had no choice but to slow down. So I was raising Jacob, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get on Bible study, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And in that time that I did that, I would jump my both feet in so far that then I feel like I'd fail. Now I'm like just trying to find 10 minutes like every day to just like, and that's hard for me to do. Like 10 minutes you think is nothing, and for me it's like an eternity.
yeah.
You keep freezing. Oh,
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, you're kind of cutting up a little bit too, but the audio's perfect. So by all means, continue. Oh man, so sorry about that, guys. But yeah, again, the 10 minutes of just being able to connect with yourself, whether you call it meditation, whether you call it prayer, whether you call it doesn't matter what you call it, because at the end of the day, it's all essentially the same thing. Are you here with us, Monty? Can you hear us?
I am. I was just I start talking and then you freeze.
Oh, you with me?
Uh,
Yeah, I think there's just an internet connection issue.
again.
Well, Joanna is on, and she has some beautiful insight, saying sometimes we don't realize that our spiritual lives are so connected to mental silence, excuse me, or chaos. And there's no doubt about it. There's actually a direct correlation, because at the end of the day, it's, are we on rhythm, right? Are we doing what we're meant? Are we doing what we're meant to be doing?
You keep freezing on me. I don't know what happens.
Yeah, no. I mean, now when you reconnect, it comes out perfect. Joanna is on the line. Joanna Sosa saying sometimes we don't realize that our spiritual lives are so connected to the mental science or the chaos. Oh, I lost you again, Marty. Oh man. But anyways, again, appreciate you guys so much. We're gonna go ahead and end it here. We'll connect her one more time. But I hope that you guys were able to um, get some nuggets out of this. The fact is that dance does bring these types of awarenesses, if you would, to our own personal lives, which, as you know, as all the listeners um, on the podcast, you guys know that we're constantly trying to deliver, the golden nuggets for your lives and continue to bring real value. And while at the same time understanding that this dance journey kind of brings that light, brings that clarity, and as we know, for dancing in general, being on rhythm is the most important thing. Without it, you're not going to the beat of the song. So then why are you dancing? Why are we doing that? What's the point? Are you just being a horse or a mule going through the steps, right? In order to be able to create some type of rhythm, there needs to be some type of breath. There needs to be some type of pause. And this is where a lot of the parallels come in. So a lot of these words can be used in both scenarios, and it's definitely really powerful stuff that I want you guys to be able to take away from our experiences. Again, doing this for a really long time, and carrying that through. That the time alone and being able to pause and reflect is going to give you that clarity. It's going to give you that clarity so that when you're actually doing your work, whatever that may be, going about your daily lives, that it's going to have a sense of purpose. I know a lot of older, wiser people, if you would, that move radically faster than people that are young, because sometimes we have a tendency of going really fast but in a circle and not going anywhere on the metaphorical hamster wheel. Marty, we got you back. We're gonna go ahead and close off.
Yes,
So
yes.
please say a
No,
say a
no
quick
problem.
say a quick close note, and we'll go ahead and end it off.
Guys, thank you so much for watching, listening. Sorry for all the interruptions with the internet, but nothing. Just take your time, sit with your own thoughts, in your own prayer, with your own spiritual self. Slow down, and I'm giving myself the same advice. Take that pause, like we do in salsa, because it's definitely necessary to take you to the next chapter. They always say one door closes, the next one's going to open. Those things are so true. Don't be afraid of change. Change is always a really good thing, even when it's hard. Pay
Amen.
attention to the signs. Pay attention to the signs because they're definitely out there. So
And the
that's it.
signs are much easier to notice when you're looking, when you're
Oh,
when
yes.
you're breathing, when you're still. Right? That doesn't mean be a bum and meditate for 24 hours. You know, but at the same
No, but
time, you know, 30 minutes goes a long way. 30 minutes? That's insane. I've got 7 kids. I got 3 jobs. Okay, 1 minute.
no, yeah. Listen, there's so many great things on Instagram that I see with people that try to put mindful consciousness stuff out there, and it's true. Start with 1 minute. Start with two. I think you find out who you are, and it's one of those things that it's funny because people say, "Oh, you need to get to know who you are." That's how you get to know who you are in those silenced, quiet moments. And that's what I'm realizing. So I'm trying to really take it slow. Joanna's my assistant. She just started working with me. She's actually, I'm telling you, the universe does things. She's very involved in her church and very Christian. She never puts things on me though. She doesn't ever talk to me about Bible stuff or scripture stuff. It's just her air around me that reminds me that I need to get closer to God. And she has said it a couple times. Just be like, Mari, have you been to church? Or she'll just like, because she knows ultimately she can see good. Um,
Amen. For sure.
Past that. I'm trying to get past that. I'm trying to get past the no more excuses, just make it happen. And if I'm going to and tell everybody this, and I'm going to take it for myself as well. So
Perfect.
that's what I have. That's my ending. And we
Perfect.
froze again, so just close it up, Andres. Everybody that I love them.
Well,
Bye bye. Hopefully you heard that.
the feed. Okay, oh, perfect. Okay, guys. No, thank you again so much for your patience, guys. I hope we were able to get some golden nuggets from Mari. Definitely a wonderful, fantastic human being, a really good friend. And allow yourself, if you haven't done so already, hop into your next dance class. Salsa, bachata, doesn't even matter. But the practice of being able to be creative, aka live your life, while staying on rhythm, is definitely something worth practicing. I love you guys so much. Be good. Have an amazing rest of your day.